We are the light of science to brighten minds.
We are the magic of knowledge given from one to another.
We
are teachers.
Hello and welcome to the We Are Teachers Wattcast, episode number 14. My name is Sandy Fivecoat and I will be your host today.
This Wattcast is sponsored by American College of Education. The college is transforming the way teachers teach. If you're looking for ways to achieve results, American College of Education can help unleash new passion, new challenges, and new skills in your career. An online master's degree program from American College of Education can provide you with the tools to influence the direction of your classroom, your curriculum, your school, and your career. The online degree programs provide affordable education through engaging instruction and relevant applications.
On our Wattcast today, I'm really excited to welcome Dr. Sally Ride, Dr. Karen Flammer, Dr. Shawntel Landry, and Deborah Cannon. We're going to have a wonderful discussion today about professional development for teachers in the area of science education. How do we help these teachers effectively learn strategies for teaching science? And how do we promote science careers to their students? So I'm going to begin with our panelists and ask them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their backgrounds. Let's begin with Dr. Ride.
Absolutely. I'm Sally Ride. In a former life, I was a NASA astronaut, probably best known as America's first woman in space. But since I left NASA, I've dedicated myself to education. I've been a professor of physics at University of California, San Diego for 15 years. And then I founded Sally Ride Science, a K-12 science education company that develops materials for the classroom.
Wonderful. Dr. Flammer, tell us a bit about your background.
Sure. Hi, this is Karen Flammer. I'm a space physicist from UCSD, the University of California, San Diego. I transitioned into educational outreach when I first met Sally over 15 years ago. I'm one of the founders of Sally Ride Science that Sally started in 2001, and I oversee all our professional development activities. And I'm extremely passionate about empowering teachers with tools and resources to improve STEM education.
And Dr. Landry?
I am Chantal Landry. I am the Associate Provost and the Senior Vice President for Program Development here at American College of Education, and we have partnered with Dr. Ride to develop this program. I began in teacher ed many, many years ago. I spent 6 years in the classroom working with gifted ed primarily. From there, I ended up in educational publishing, and I spent 8 years publishing K-12 reading, math, and technology curriculum. And from there, ended up in higher ed, working for American College of Education in teacher ed, really because I had such a passion for making a difference in the classroom and realized we could do that through teacher education.
Wonderful. And finally, Deborah Cannon, tell us about your background.
Hello, I'm Debra Cannon, and in a former life, I taught high school physics for 20 years and conducted physics workshops for physics teachers across the country, emphasizing conceptual understanding and hands-on engaged learning by the students. And then I was the Dean of Instruction for a large school district and was able to get into the world of online education and see this as a tremendous opportunity to spread the word that education, especially science education, needs to be very engaging for students, and look forward to the opportunity to impact science teaching.
Well, I must say this may be one of our most auspicious panels that we've ever had at WeAreTeachers. You all are certainly qualified, beyond qualified, to bring a lot of great advice for teachers who may be listening to this podcast. So thanks so much for joining us. Now, I want to begin by talking a little bit about Sally Ride Science. Of course, it began with a mission that was aimed at impacting young girls, but now reaches all students in K through 8th grade to encourage science learning and to increase the numbers of those students who choose to pursue science careers. Of course, beyond reaching students directly, Dr. Ride, you are a supporter of teacher growth and development to impact science education through your own Sally Ride Academy, but also through this new partnership with the American College of Education, which provides graduate-level professional development. So I'd like to begin with Dr. Ride asking you explicitly what really shaped your decision to venture into this graduate-level program space, developing content for teachers, partnering with the American College of Education.
Well, first, that was an excellent summary of the evolution of Sally Ride Science. So we've always had programs for educators. We've significantly increased our emphasis on professional development in the last 5 years or so, and it's now become a major focus of the company. And the reason for that is fairly obvious. There's just no better way to impact students and improve their engagement in science and their performance in science than by providing their teachers effective skills, strategies, and resources for the classroom. Over the last 5 years or so, Sally Ride Science has offered professional development through NSTA symposia and then, as you mentioned, through our own 4-day Sally Ride Science Academy. But the most common questions we got from teachers who had attended our academy or our symposia were, number one, do you offer other professional development courses related to science teaching? And number two, can we receive graduate credit? And we listened to those teachers. So developing this science concentration as part of a master's program was absolutely a natural extension for us. We are thrilled about our partnership with the American College of Education, probably primarily because we share a passion for education, an understanding of the importance of science education, and a desire to create a cadre of amazing and effective teachers. And this really gives us the opportunity to help classroom teachers around the country develop instructional strategies that engage students and improve their performance in science. And this would have been very difficult for us to do alone. So the partnership with American College of Education is absolutely perfect for us.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I tell you, in my experience, good works really are amplified with the right kinds of partnerships. It's very difficult, no matter how great your content is, to deliver it without some kind of distribution channel that can support your efforts. So great explanation of how that works. Dr. Landry, tell us a little bit about what caused you to venture into this program with American College of Education.
Well, you know, when I was a classroom teacher, I was one of those few elementary teachers that really loved teaching math and science, and those are few and far in between. Most elementary teachers like teaching reading. And so going through the K-12 part with such a strong passion for math and science, and then I spent a couple of years at SMU, and I worked in their Institute for STEM Education, and which, interesting enough, they built this in the School of Engineering, but their whole focus is working on K-12 and what do we do in STEM education there that impacts students going into engineering careers. So when I ended up at ACE and we saw this opportunity, it was such a natural fit because we knew if we really wanted to impact STEM, then we need to do it with the best of the best. So not just developing a science concentration that any of us could do, but working with Sally Ride Science gives us the chance to truly give our students the best of what's out there in science.
That's wonderful. And it is great how a lot of times your own relationship with a university and your own personal learning experience can inform and drive you to want to give back and partner. So I know American College of Education is thrilled to have you and have you so involved in this graduate level program. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about challenges and barriers, because I know a lot of my teacher friends and a lot of people in schools today face a lot of challenges in both engaging students and fitting proper kinds of science instruction into the classroom. So let's talk a little bit about some of those challenges that teachers may face in terms of engagement of students, technology, engineering, mathematics. Let's start with Dr. Flammer.
Great. Excellent question. And first, I want to point out where our country stands today in STEM education. The latest report, the nation's report card in science, shows that only 34% of fourth grade students are performing at a proficient level in science. In eighth grade, this number drops to 30% and dips even further to 21% in 12th grade. Furthermore, there was an the PISA exam given in 2006, and believe it or not, our country, 15-year-olds ranked 25th in math and 21st in science. So clearly, we're falling behind in STEM education in our country. And yet, we live in exponential times right now. Jobs in the 21st century will increasingly demand math, science, and technology skills, and these jobs are basic living wage jobs. Again, the latest data shows that 30 of the fastest growing occupations in the next decade will all require some form of STEM skills and background. And our emphasis also is STEM literacy. It's very important that the next generation of our students, just in order to be able to make critical decisions about their health care, their finances, their global environment, they need to have a solid foundation in math, science, engineering, and technology. So I see teachers play a critical role in trying to engage more students in STEM subjects so that, foremost, they can be scientifically literate, and also that they can qualify to fill the 21st century jobs that are out there when they graduate that are all going to require science and technology skills. So what we're trying to do with our curriculum is give teachers resources and strategies to, starting at a very young age, upper elementary, middle school, to get their students engaged in science, math, engineering, and technology.
Wonderful. Ms. Cannon, I know that you have taught physics for a long, long time. From your perspective, what are these challenges that face teachers in terms of engagement and having that STEM literacy that Dr. Flammer talked about?
Right, and first of all, let me just reiterate that we all understand that teachers are so busy with all of the demands that they have to face, and I think that sometimes the teachers are at a loss as to how to engage students, and as both Dr. Flammer and Dr. Ride mentioned, we want to provide them with resources readily so that they don't have to spend their time and energy searching for such resources. And they're also possibly not well prepared in the pedagogy of teaching science in an engaging manner. They may be just relying on teaching science the way it was taught to them, which may have been pretty much a lecture method. We also know that sometimes it's just easier to tell science, to tell people about science, than to set up the materials and resources and procedures to have the students actually do the science. And finally, one of the things that I think is most important and most exciting about partnering with the Sally Ride Science program is their emphasis on science-related careers, especially in a diverse population, and showing the types of activities those scientists do. We, as science educators and all teachers, are faced with common perceptions in society that science is hard and only a select few of people can actually do science. And students grow up kind of being bombarded with those messages, and we want to let students actually experience doing science, and that way they can see themselves as scientists.
What a wonderful answer. And I, as the mother and grandmother of a bunch of kids, I can tell you I'm really excited, too, to learn more about this program, because I agree too many science education programs seem sort of almost academic and hard and meant for a select few. But with the Sally Ride Science Academy also trying to promote science careers, I think you all are finding ways to bridge that chasm, and I really applaud you for doing that, because that students need to see what the end game is, and they need to see themselves as capable. And from what I've learned about these programs and this content, you all are really doing a great job of moving in that direction. I just really cannot tell you how excited I am about that. Let's talk a little bit about the science curriculum now. There's the committee, of course, on a conceptual framework for new science education standards, recently released a report that creates a framework for all students, grades K through 12. And I know you all know this, but I want to be sure our audience knows the goal of this standards program is that all students receive some level of proficiency in science by graduation by the end of grade 12. How does the Sally Ride Science Teaching Concentration for Teachers address this committee's goal in terms of integrating this goal through standards, curriculum, instruction, assessment, all of the things that impact those kinds of standards? And how does it help teachers improve science learning as a result? Let's start with Dr. Ride.
Well, this is a really important topic. Over the last couple of years, there's been a major national effort to create this new framework for K-12 science education. The framework, as you mentioned, has been released, and it is being used to develop what are being called the next generation science standards that will be rigorous, they'll be internationally benchmarked, and available for states to adopt. Now, why is this so important to us? Why is the subject of science education getting so much national attention? Why is creating a master's program with a concentration in science so important? And the reason is this is the 21st century. Science, technology, engineering, math are the future. And as Karen cited all the statistics, no matter what field students choose to go into once they graduate from high school, they're going to need STEM skills, science, technology, engineering, and math skills, just to get basic living wage jobs. So STEM is critical to the student's future, again, no matter what field they choose to go into. As Karen cited, U.S. students aren't doing very well, 25th internationally in math, 21st in science. So it's clear that we have to do something. And just by the way, it's also clear that we need to start these efforts in elementary and middle school. There's a lot of data that shows that in early elementary school, and I'm sure all teachers out there can relate to this, in early elementary school, students are really excited about science. They're curious, they're natural scientists, but by 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, students, both boys and girls, start to lose interest in science, start to disengage, and it tends to be more girls and minority students at that age than boys, though we do lose both boys and girls. And that's one of the reasons that we feel it's so important to target this upper elementary and middle school age group, and to help the teachers who teach the students in those grades to really engage those students and help them perform in science, because that's where we're losing them. And it's very critical at that age, as the students start to disengage from science, to be able to imagine what scientists really do, what scientists look like, and even see examples of scientists who look like them. 10-year-old African-American girl needs to see a female African-American scientist or engineer just to believe that that's a career that is an option for her. Now, the new framework for science education stresses, as you mentioned, that science is important for all students, not just the future rocket scientists of the country, but for all students. It also places greater emphasis on depth over breadth. It focuses on engaging students in scientific inquiry, as Deborah mentioned is so important, and in the engineering design process. It focuses on making students aware of how science is actually done and who actually does science. And it also makes clear that it's important to use the body of research on science learning. Finally, it emphasizes motivating more students and a diverse population of students to pursue careers in science and engineering. And the curriculum of our program is informed by all of this, and this forms the basis for a lot of what we're doing. We certainly incorporate all the latest research on science learning. We've got a very strong focus on inquiry and the process of science, and we incorporate specific strategies to engage all students and to motivate them to study science and engineering careers. So we couldn't be more excited about the development of the new framework and the coming next generation of science standards. And we think that this curriculum is actually a very good fit with it. We, of course, integrate existing standards and have integrated the framework in our curriculum, and we'll pass this on to the teachers to implement in their instruction in their classes and also make use of it in their assessments.
Wonderful. Dr. Landry, do you have other things to add to Dr. Wright's comments?
I think she summed it up very well, and I will actually turn that over to Deborah Cannon, because she is working very, very closely with Dr. Wright and her staff to develop the curriculum. So if there's anything she wants to share, I'll let her speak to that.
Thank you, Dr. Landry, and I just want to add that thanks to the input of Dr. Wright and Dr. Flammer, that the types of discussions and activities and assignments that our graduate students will be doing directly align and have teachers actually practice what Dr. Wright was talking about, where they look at the standards and make sure that the instructional units they are developing for their own students are aligned with those standards so that their students are actually using those skills, developing those skills, and that the teachers are assessing those skills. And part of the emphasis of the American College of Education is for the graduate students to be doing things that will directly translate to their classroom, and I think that's really exciting.
That's excellent. Let's talk now briefly about the advantages of an online master's program such as this. First of all, the fact that it's online, and second of all, the fact that it's tightly aligned to this conceptual framework for new science education standards. Let's start with Dr. Landry. Can you give us kind of a summary of the advantages of this program?
Yes, and one of the first things I want to mention about being online is the flexibility it gives teachers. Because most of the teachers that come into our programs tell us they could not have gotten a graduate degree, they could not have gone back to school had they not had this option. Because for so many of them, they have their classrooms and they have their own responsibilities at home, and they're logging in at 8 and 9 o'clock at night to participate, and they're getting online on the weekends. So first, the online piece is about flexibility with teacher schedules. And in the case of the American College of Education, it's about affordability. You know, our master's degree programs are priced at a different level than you will find in many other online institutions, and they're priced that way so that teachers can afford to pay for them, and so they could get out of the program with a degree and not carrying debt. Because most of us know teachers won't make back in salary the cost of some master's degree programs. So we want to make sure it's affordable and it's flexible. And in the case of American College of Education, what we hear from our students over and over again is that their assignments that they do, and they do project-based assignments every week where they go into their classrooms, they do things with their students, they come back, they report on that, they adjust it, and they continue to do that throughout the course. And what they come back and tell us is that their program is immediately applicable to the classroom, that because the assignments are so teacher-centric and they're very evidence-based, that they can immediately impact their class, they can immediately see changes with their students. And so having a science program that ties in so well with that relevant content that teachers tell us over and over again, that's why they stay with us, that's why they want us to develop new programs, because the content is so relevant. It's just a perfect pairing with the science curriculum from Sally Ride Science.
Oh, that's great. Dr. Flammer, do you have anything to add?
I do. I think Dr. Landry pointed out the advantage of this online program to teachers, and I also want to point out the advantage that this master's program is going to have to our nation. We've talked today about how we need to produce more teachers who are prepared and equipped to teach STEM subjects, because we need to create a scientifically literate next generation of students and hopefully encourage more of them to enter into STEM fields. The current statistics in the state of California, which are reflective of states across the country, in 2010, we gave out 22,000 teaching credentials in the state of California, but only 8% of those were in single subject math or science. So clearly, if we are going to improve STEM education, programs like this are invaluable to give teachers an emphasis in science education and equip them with resources and strategies that they can immediately put into practice in their classrooms.
Excellent. And finally, Deborah, do you have anything to add in terms of the value of this program?
Well, I would say that I, too, am starstruck by Dr. Ride and Dr. Flammer and the rest of their colleagues at Sally Ride Science. And, of course, the best-case scenario would be that if every teacher of every grade level in the United States would be able to attend one of their institutes for face-to-face interaction with these wonderful science educators and scientists. But that's not feasible. And so this online program allows these phenomenal scientists and science educators to impact science teachers or teachers' lives, and thereby impacting their students that very well otherwise would not have had that opportunity. So it's definitely a value-add opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. Dr. Ride, Dr. Flammer, Dr. Landry, Ms. Cannon, thank you so much for all your thoughts, your insights, and your very thoughtful comments. To our listening audience, if you would like to learn more about the topic we discussed today, or about the sponsor of this WeAreTeachers, the American College of Education, please visit our blog at WeAreTeachers.com, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any comments or suggestions for new WeAreTeachers or people you'd like us to interview in the future, please contact us at WeAreTeachers.com. Thank you, panelists, for being with us, and have a great day.
This WeAreTeachers is sponsored by American College of Education.